let's jump right into this great line from Horace Silver on Senior Blues. It's an E flat minor blues, basically, and a lot of it's got a riff, so to speak, that gets transposed through chords, and there's only a couple spots where there's a little sort of weirdness. It is a good hand workout, though. It's in 6/8, and the first sort of phrase on the E flat minor 7, the one chord, happens many times. The same sort of phrase happens many times. So let's do it really slowly and talk about it for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the primary phrase in everything, and it also sets up the other pattern of the other chords that are happening. It's the same basic pattern. So I'm playing it obviously in the middle of the neck here to avoid more shifting than is necessary. But we do have to get from, we're here in this position, E flat, we do have to get from this D flat, E flat, and then we got to play this F here at the heel block here. And after this F comes a B flat. And then comes an E flat again. So there's not a great way to finger this. So we have to sort of get comfortable with shifting with our first finger from the B flat here to our first finger with on the E flat here. And you can just spot practice that if you need to. Just repeat that movement 1 and 1 over and over again. Oops. Now I stopped here because it's going to move on to the next chord, which is a B7. That's a substitute for A flat minor 7, which would be in a normal minor blues. It's going to B7. What Horace did is with the beat 6 of the 6/8 bar, he is going to prepare that B7 by playing F sharp, which is enharmonically G flat, right, which is in an E flat minor chord. So he's going to go here to this F sharp, which is the 5th of B. So F sharp to B, and then the same basic riff happens again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. I'm stopping here again because we're going back to E flat minor. On the written part in the real book, and what I think Horace does play is a B flat to prepare to the E flat that's coming next. But I hear the bass player, I think, playing a B natural instead, simply because that's in a close available finger distance. So in other words, rather than going A to B flat here, although you could, that's quite a jump. I think he's doing this minor 7th jump down to this B here and then shifting up again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I could be wrong. It's very hard to discern the bass from the piano because they're right in the same registers there. But I think that's what's happening. Either way, it's fine. It's not a big deal, but I just wanted to point that out to you. So now we are back to the E flat minor again. And there's an interesting thing at the end of this too. So let's play these 4 bars of 6/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the next chord is the 5 chord of the key, B flat 7. It goes 5, 4, 1. So B flat 7, A flat 7, essentially, and then back to E flat, which is also a little strange for like a minor blues. So that's why we call this a blues in quotes. Okay, so sorry. So the next chord is B flat 7. To keep up with this idea, we would prep the 5th before. So F to B flat, right? On beat 6. On beat 6, we play an F, and then on the beat 1 B flat, we play B flat. But I also hear that either mistakenly or if it's on purpose, it is so clever because it sounds like such a cool rub so fast. I hear F sharp to B again, even though the B flat 7 is what's happening in the harmony. But it's just for a moment, it's just for those two beats. Beat 6 and then beat 1 of the next bar. I hear F sharp to B, but then he picks up with making it the rest a B flat 7. So that's why I feel like maybe it's a mistake. But so let's go back to those 4 bars where we were at, to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how we switched there? So F sharp to B, now F. So the rest of the riff happens closely to as if we had started on B flat, the same pattern, but it's not quite the same. Now this is a little different. He is prepping A flat as the next chord with E flat. Now, and he's keeping the same rhythm that is in 6, but because the chords are changing faster, the riff is slightly different for A flat. So again, for B flat, quote unquote, but the first 2 notes, or the notes leading into it, are B perhaps. Now we're going to prep to go back to E flat minor 7 for the end of the chorus, but I do hear this as well, that there's a low B flat going to the E flat. Before we played B flat to E flat there, but I hear B flat there. So if I play from the A flat 7 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Also on the chart, at the very beginning, after that intro where there's just the riff is happening and then there's a break for the horns to come in, they don't have that pickup written in to start the phrase again, going into the A section. They do not have that written in. I absolutely hear that there. Small minor thing, but something that's helpful to know when you study that. And that's the majority of the tune. They do go into a slightly different rhythmic feel. Actually, it sounds pretty dramatic, different feel, but it still has this 6/8 undertow going on. It's just a different collection of how they're expressing the rhythm in the middle of the tune. But this is the core thing that we need to know. We need to understand the form, the chords, and this very specific bass line, which the piano plays as well. So once again, piano players challenging us to get outside our comfort zone as far as fingerings with some of these things. So one other thing I wanted to point out, of course, is that this is in 6. You could think of it in a few ways, but keep in mind that the swing feel is always having this undercurrent of 3 triplets or 6 or something. And this is also connected to the African 6/8, which we've talked about in some other videos, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, dot, dot, dot. You can think of those as triplets. Triplet, ta, 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 ta. You can get to shuffle pretty fast there. Ta, 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 ta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are certain patterns that have been developed over time, that I should say, that have been adopted over time by jazz players of varying degrees of how serious they are about African music. One very common one that I tend to gravitate to is if the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can hear there's some similarities there with Senior Blues for sure. Horace Silver is from Cape Verde, and I believe he is sort of adding some fusion here of a variety of ideas, some African sounds, perhaps some other quote unquote Latin diaspora sounds. But keep in mind what the drums are doing here on this actual recording is not really African or sort of traditionally any of the folkloric musics of African music. This is a hodgepodge of things, okay? So don't take this as a specific like West African rhythm thing, but it alludes to that. It gives us a feeling. It's really important for us to get comfortable with this feel because it underlies this feeling, like I'm talking about the feeling of jazz, and also because gives us great options for how we can reinvent standards when we're playing them ourselves. You can put certain standards in 6 that sound really, really great. I mean, like You Don't Know What Love Is, that ballad can sound really nice in 6, and so on and so forth. So it's just something to think about. As I said at the beginning, a really good workout for your hands. I was kind of struggling here doing it many, many times. And I just had a gig recently, a concert where we were playing this, and it was sort of an open bass solo at the beginning, and I was doing a whole bunch of stuff based on that. I was coming from there, and not only did I tire myself out doing that, but then I also sort of couldn't find this rhythm. I was so lost in what I was doing before, I couldn't find this rhythm. And thankfully the piano player helped me out and I caught up with it. But you know, those kinds of things happen when we're sort of deep inside trying to make some music. So I hope that this was helpful for you and that you were able to sort of get a sense of why you might want to take this on as a fun exercise and maybe put this in your repertoire as well. Thanks for joining me today. Look below for a link for free PDFs, and always remember, straight ahead and strive for tone.